Hey, my name's Josh. This is Ashlee. We started out super poor. We're an entrepreneur family with 5 kids. Congrats on that, Ash, by the way. We've been bankrupt. We've made millions. And we're just going to have a conversation about the weirdness of being an entrepreneur family. Ashlee, how are you?
I am I am doing
It's
wonderful.
really easy living this life, right?
No. No, no, no. No.
What's been the hardest part for you as a spouse? Ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. Or maybe there's 270 hard parts, but what 2 or 3 come to mind?
I think the hardest part about being an entrepreneur wife or an entrepreneur family, and I would the hardest part is thinking when you, hey, I've got this. I have totally got this. And then all of a sudden, the rug is pulled out from underneath
Yeah.
of you because it's the new level up. And so if you're going to be a stagnant entrepreneur, then it's probably fine. But when you're always trying to level up and you're trying to do really big things and you have a really big mission, mandate, and purpose, you're always leveling up. And so right when you think, hey, I've got this, we're crushing it, is just the beginning.
And sometimes that happens in a 1-hour window. You go from crushing it to like really fast, or sometimes you're crushing it for a year,
Hmm.
and then it's But I think it is the pushing harder part, which I can't like. I'm built to want to do big things, right? And there's a cost with it. I mean, all growth has pain.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: has it been worth it overall?
Yes, it has been worth it. Now, there are moments that I'm like, is this worth it? Like, and we've got to do lots of cool things and we've got to help lots of people and we still love people and want to help them. But there have been moments where I'm like, is this worth it? But the answer at the end of the day is always yes, that it is worth it.
What would you say to a dude who's married? He's the husband. He's an entrepreneur. Um, what does he need to start doing? What does he need to stop doing to bring sanity back to his house while he's building the business?
Oh, that's a very complicated question. You're just saying like one thing.
I don't know, whatever, wherever you want to take it.
Um, you need to be very clear about casting your vision. And you have to do it on repeat because what happens is entrepreneurs, they can go for a very long extended time. They have a vision in their head. They can see it. They can feel it. They can taste it. Like it becomes their being. But then they say it one time to their wife. And then 6 months down the road, when hustle and grind season is happening and it's just exhausting, um, the wife is like, what the heck are we doing? And you're like, babe, you're not on the same page as me. What are you doing? We casted the vision. You have to be a great, kind of like, what are those birds that keep on saying the same thing? Like keep repeating your vision and casting vision. You have to recast vision a lot because if your wife is not entrepreneurial, she'll get exhausted. She'll be dying on the vine and you don't even know it.
That's so good. So hyper clear communication, enthusiasm, painting a picture, reminding your family, because us entrepreneurs live in the future,
Yeah.
kind of all by ourselves. We're just floating around like we're going to build this big thing, and then we forget to like relay the information to the ground troops, which are our family trying to help, right, survive. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't even have a vision. They don't know what to do. They're just surviving.
Ooh, that's really terrifying because if a wife wants their husband to be the leader. They want them to be the leader of the tribe of your, clan or whatever you want to call your family unit. And if you don't know where you're going, that is absolutely terrifying. So if you don't know where you're going, please do not tell your wife you don't know where you're going. You better just figure it out very, very quickly because that's very dangerous. You're walking on very dangerous territory. And then one other thing that I'd add to that is um, sometimes entrepreneurs will cast the vision, they'll do a really great job of that, and then they go build. And they don't share the journey with their wife, or they don't tell their wife, you're the ride or die. So when other employees or other things are happening, they start to think that the entrepreneur is living their life without them. So you want to make sure that you're always keeping your wife in the loop. Maybe she doesn't want to be in the business. I mean, be very careful of the role you put your wife in. That's very dangerous too. But keep her in the loop. Make her remember that she is your ride or die and that she's your number two. Well, God first, then your wife. Everybody.
Right.
I have a question for you though.
Okay.
What is like the most important thing for an entrepreneur wife to do for an entrepreneur?
Dang it. I thought you were going to ask me what the most important thing for the entrepreneur to do was. I had an answer for that.
Oh, well, you can
Okay.
answer that too. We will.
Make wild, passionate love on a regular basis to your entrepreneur. And that's not a joke. That's a thing. I think trusting the entrepreneur. Here's a weird thing about respect and the trust thing is that sometimes I think women, especially in modern culture, they want a mountain of proof to extend respect and trust. But that's not the way God designed it, right? So let's say in a perfect scenario, a young man and a young woman get married. Well, there's no mountain of proof of anything, but the trust and respect has to be implicit from the beginning, right? And what's hard for the wife is that she might have to do that for a repeated period of time with no visible signs of success. But the trust itself is what catapults success. It's rocket fuel to the entrepreneur, right? So you told me a story earlier this week about someone whose wife texted him back. He was going to make a big purchase decision, and he was all nervous. And she said, "I trust you." That was her response. The guy started crying, right?
Yeah, a grown, burly man who is,
Yeah.
being the leader of his home. When he heard his wife say that, like literally, I think she could have asked for anything she wanted. He would have given it to her.
Here's the thing.
He,
When she says, "I trust you," that gives him permission to trust himself.
ooh,
And there's many ways an entrepreneur wife can show her husband that she trusts him. One is physical. Pick it up and I'm throwing down. Very important. Then you have words, right? Then you just have attitude. I think attitude shows trust, right? Can you sit and wait? Can you put yourself second? Can you actually be a helper and be in the background, or does everything have to be about you? You're going to have like a freak out every 5 seconds. It's really hard. I mean, the role of a wife is insanely difficult. But in the context of a marriage, when this is happening, it makes the man basically get injected with rocket fuel and want to go club stuff and drag it home. And to be very clear, results have to be produced. You can't sit on your computer and update spreadsheets all day and pretend that you're working and take another course and listen to 14 more Alex Hormozi videos. You have to go out and do stuff. You got to make money, period, right? To kind of I think when you get the result, it's like a refill in the tank of, oh God, okay, I was almost out of the you're borrowing on credit the trust and respect, right? And so it's this back and forth teeter-totter of like, I trust you, go farther, it's okay, I got you, no, I still trust you, it didn't work, I still trust you, boom, big result. Then she can breathe to get more trust, respect in the bank, and it goes back and forth and it ebbs and flows.
whew, that was good. That gave me the goosebumps. I liked it.
Remember when we went to like pre-marriage counseling? Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And we go to pre-marriage counseling, and he's like, your role as a husband and wife is to outserve each other. And then I said, okay, Ash, you go first, like as a joke. But this is actually a problem. It's like, who goes first? No one wants to be vulnerable. No one wants to be the one to get screwed over. They're like, no, prove it to me. Then I'll do it. And so the man's version of that is like, give me everything even though I have no results. Well, that's not fair, right? But then the woman's version of it is, yeah, I'm happy to trust you after you prove that you're trustworthy for 5 years straight or some unknown, unwritten down criteria, right? That's murky. The reality is both people have to take a risk. Both people have to do the thing that's scary with no certainty attached to it at all forever. But that's why it works.
But is it really truly risky? I mean, we think it's risky.
No, it
Yes,
feels like it is.
it feels like it is risky, but I actually think that our culture has told us that that is risky to,
It's the
trust
recipe
your-
for success.
It is, because it's risky not to trust your spouse. Like, look at divorce rates and, all of the just trauma through our culture. We've been telling women it's very risky to like trust a man, but then they have to go be a single mom and raise kids. That's hard work. I've been kind of like a single mom when I've been back in Michigan for a little bit. Ladies, that is hard work. That is hard
Well, it's
work.
horrible for the kids.
Well, and
It
it's horrible
destroys
for
society.
the women, and it's horrible for
It
the
is,
men.
and it produces a way worse result. I mean, there's so much evidence and studies on this, it's not even funny. It's a nightmare. So, no, families need to stick together. It's the building block of society. You were telling me about, what study was it? Where entrepreneurs that start a company together have a way lower divorce rate. It was like 7% or something.
Yes, it was
It was
really,
like
really
less
low.
than 10%.
It was really low if you start a business with each other. And
with
that's
each other.
with
Very
each
big
other.
distinction. So if you
Very
just
big.
have a company and your spouse was never on board with it, that's probably even worse of a divorce rate. I don't
Probably.
know. I didn't see a number on that, but but if you have, here's what I hear when I hear that stat: two people had a shared vision and they did really hard things together. That's a recipe for success, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two people had a shared vision and they did hard things together. I mean, that's how you simplify it. So if you're the woman watching this, you've been dragging your feet, telling your husband to get a real job, you're playing a dangerous game. And if you're the husband that doesn't communicate the vision and try to recruit and persuade and bring into the storyline your wife, you're playing a dangerous game. And I think like just getting on the same page, even in some capacity with why we're doing this, where we're going, why it matters for your family tree, for your community, for your staff, for your bank account, for all of it, you got to talk about it. You got to get excited about it. I think it lowers divorce rate because you're locking arms, walking up a mountain together, which is epic.
Mm-hmm.
You can try, you can trauma bond together, building the business.
It's so true. Trauma bonding. It sounds really horrible, but it actually makes it more worth
It
it.
is horrible in the moment, but it builds your capacity and it makes your relationship stickier.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're like, no one else would put up with this crap.
Right.
Something really magical happened. We had some clients come in, and they were talking about like they were asking me lots of questions about why, how do I be a good entrepreneur for my wife? Like, how do I get her on board? But one of the questions is how do I get her to be interested in this business? How do I get her to level up? Like, not because she's not a great human, but like just because I want her to be more on board. What do you think about that? Do you think your wife has to be on board for you to be successful? Do you think it's just a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Where do you think?
I do not think a wife has to be on board for you to be financially successful. I think your wife has to be on board for you to be successful. And those are totally different things. So, like, there's no amount of success in business can compensate for failure in the home. And if you fail at home, you fail, period, end of story. So, your family unit has to win, right? It's not just about getting money. Who cares? You can get money, sure. You can ignore your wife and go make money. Tons of people do that. It's kind of normal, actually. But how do you have it all? How do you have it all? How can you go get the material things, which you're not bad for wanting, by the way? You're not a diabolical person because you want a newer Chevy Silverado instead of the truck whose window won't roll down. You're not an evil person, okay? So if you're on the same page and everybody's winning, that's real success, right? Would you rather be worth $6.2 million and have kids that respect you and honor you? Or would you rather have $17.3 million and be alienated, right? Because nobody cares. And even if you are successful, people that are around you, half of them won't support your success anyway. Half of them are going to talk behind your back. A third of them are going to talk about how you got lucky and it was mommy and daddy or it was your market or the timing or some other extraneous circumstance to justify their own failure. Very few people in your life are actually going to clap and cheer for you for real and see the greatness of what you just did. And starting at the top of that list will be your wife, unless you suffocated her by being stupid.
Yeah. I think you were actually very sneaky in the level up.
Well, actually, the next part of my answer was the way to get your wife to level up is for you to level up, because actually the way to get your husband to level up is for the wife to level up, because it gets weird when someone's doing personal development. They're learning new things. They're pushing the boundaries. They're maybe getting up earlier. They're getting in the Bible. They're getting into business books. They're exercising, whatever. When they're becoming more, you're like, then you want to become more. And it works both ways, I think.
I think the most powerful thing in that is watching them respond differently to different people in the world.
Stressors.
Yeah, different stressors, different people in the world, the way they respond to your children differently, respond to you differently. Like, you can visibly see someone's level up, and it does get intimidating. And so then you want to level up too. It's contagious. The level up is technically contagious.
Yeah, because we're built, every human being is built to level up. You're not allowed to not do. Well, no, you're allowed to not do it, but you're violating the nature of a human. Because God made humans to grow and expand in all areas of their life. You should never stop learning. I think you should have a mentor and be a mentor until you're dead. You know, how many apples should an apple tree produce? Is it supposed to hit 263 and then not try anymore? Is it only supposed to produce enough apples to where it has one more than the other apple trees? Or is the apple tree supposed to produce maximum number of apples that is possible for that apple tree? And there's circumstance, the soil it's planted in, the environment. Is there a drought? Is the sun beating on it? But every tree is producing maximum amount that it could based on all of the internal and external factors. And people are like that too. But we have too many apples, and Uncle Larry at Thanksgiving is like, well, you think you're pretty hot stuff, don't you? It's like, no. But you have chose, Uncle Larry, to not level up, to not pursue your destiny, to not even try to be unbelievably self-centered and selfish for 30 years, only make enough money for you to get by. You're not trying to change the world, even though God made you to. And you're not going to slow me down. I'm not going to stop producing apples because of you, right?
So
I think level up is natural.
The crazy thing that you were talking about apple trees, and I've actually learned a lot about apple trees this year. My mom and dad have this apple tree that wasn't producing apples. And then this year, for some reason, bang, apple trees everywhere. And so then my mom and apples everywhere. And it was actually becoming a problem because they didn't prune the bad apples. So the bad apples were like rotting the good apples, and they were also weighing down the tree with too many apples. So like if they weren't going to prune them back and get rid of some of the apples that weren't healthy, it was going to kill the tree. Like we saw somebody who was like propping up this tree so the limbs wouldn't break, but then the apples were rotting because they were bad next to bad apples.
And they'd be better off chopping off the
limbs,
the dead wood.
And like, what does a healthy tree look like? A healthy tree looks like giving apples to other people. Like,
that's a good point, because all of us produce good and bad fruit. Mm-hmm. And when we're young and immature and we don't know anything, there's more bad fruit, and we don't even know about it yet. And so as you level up, you refine, you produce even a bigger yield of good fruit by getting rid of the bad fruit. Another example of this is when you clear cut a field to turn it into a farm. It's interesting looking at all these farms. Someone had to chop all these trees down and yank the stumps out with like a horse 200 years ago. It's like, shout out to that guy. But when you're doing it, there's rocks in the field. And the first thing you do is take out the big rocks, the obvious rocks. But there's a different set or a different size of rocks, and there's even more of them, right? So you could spend months getting the medium-sized rocks gone. And it actually never stops, right? Because you can go all the way down to pebble, and that's kind of like the bad fruit part. You're removing the bad out of the field so that it can produce a bigger yield, or you're cutting the bad fruit off the tree so it can produce a bigger yield. In a marriage, what does that look like? It means getting in the Word, because first of all, God is real. Hello. And your money doesn't matter. It's all going to burn one day, okay? So go get it. Get your hot tub. Get the Chevy Silverado. That's cool. But it doesn't really matter. So the level up is being around truth, which is the Word. And it's examining yourself and becoming self-aware. So Aristotle or Socrates said, the only thing I know is that I know nothing. And truly wise people know of their own inadequacies. They're aware. They don't shame themselves, but they're aware. It's on a list. They're working at it. They're chipping away at it. Most people don't even know that there is a list.
I have like a major crush on you, your big, fat, sexy brain.
Maybe we pause this interview and come back in 20 minutes.
Stop. Now you're going to make all of our staff really nervous about that. That's
all right. All right. Let's cut.
20 minutes later.
I don't know. We're going to go from there now.
Well, I guess if you could look into the camera, speak to an entrepreneur wife who is really pissed at her husband because there's chaos, there isn't good vision, and there's not enough results. And they know that he's working, and so they might even feel guilty for being pissed, but they're just in this state. What do you say she does? What do you talk to her directly?
I'm going to cry. She's pissed. Does she have it doesn't matter if you have a reason to be pissed, actually. So what I would tell you is hang on. It's going to be okay. The thoughts that you're thinking in your head about what he's doing or what he's not doing, those are not helpful to you. Surround yourself in the level up in the meantime. If you're in hustle and grind season, hang on, breathe deep, take care of yourself. But here's the most important thing that you can do. And you might have to do it in stages. First off, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have one day where you just hold your tongue and you don't say anything nasty. And that's going to feel like hard. Because if you're really pissed, it's really hard to hold your tongue. The next day, you're going to hold your tongue and then not roll your eyes. Because
So you can still eye roll on day one.
you could eye roll on day
started.
one. Just don't say
Well, you
anything
know-
you regret.
Yeah.
Then you're going to not eye roll. And then you're going to try to really be reminded of the core things that you're really trying to do. Because during hustle and grind season, it feels like you're drowning, but you're really, really not drowning. I guess I have a lot of things that I would say. You would not say anything. You'd try to regroup your body language or the eye rolling. And then you're going to start to speak life, even if it feels awkward. You're going to try to remind yourself of the human that you love and what you're trying to do, because that's really what's important, right?
Yeah.
And helping the others. Like we talk about like entrepreneurship and our family and different things like that. But the truth of the matter is a good entrepreneur is serving the world. So if your company shut down today, like that affects not just you and your employees and your family. That affects the world. That affects other people's families. And people need, like, even like, let's pick an industry that seems even silly. Like, I can't even think of anything that seems silly because they're all so important. Like honey, like selling honey could be a big thing on the side of the road that some mom is going to share. She's going to make homemade biscuits and she's going to put this honey on there. And that seems silly, but like, what if it's like the only time she gets to hang out with her kid? Or you're cleaning an old lady's gutters. Well, that's going to protect her home. Or you make Afghans for old ladies. Like there's so many products and services that even seem silly. Like let's just talk about the iPhone protector case. I've bought like 755 of those, but that like saves my sanity and my phone. And why does it matter that I save my phone? Like everybody laughs about saving a phone like you're some stinking addict. But the reason I save my phone is because it's got pictures of my babies in there that I can never. That's why I pay $1 million for the cloud, is because it's the pictures of my babies. So even silly little products like the little thin glass protector on iPhones is important. And you never know what could ruin someone's day. So you got to keep pushing to be an entrepreneur. That was a long-winded answer, and I'm okay with that. But
Well, you're talking about speaking life, holding your tongue, not eye rolling, and speaking life because there's second, third, fourth order consequences outside of just you, Miss Entrepreneur Wife. If the business fails or goes slower, you're affecting the world, the ripple effect, right? The customers of the customers, the knowledge that they learn from the stuff that the business does or whatever it is. I think it's powerful. It's true.
and this is the most important thing. Entrepreneur ladies, listen to this, okay? This is actually not from me. I got to interview one of the most amazing women, and what happened is she said this quote, and it's like haunts me. It haunts me in a good way. What she says is, if you want to kill a man from the inside out, you take an entrepreneur and give him a 9-to-5 job.
Ooh, amen.
Because her husband was an entrepreneur and then had to go back to doing a 9-to-5 job. And she said she slowly watched it kill him from the inside out.
Yeah. A job to someone like me or like us is like the Soul Sucker 9000. It's a torture device used to suck the soul from our body. And there's honor in all work and all that, but not everybody's built to build things, right? I think some people are entrepreneurs and they shouldn't be. That's just the reality of it.
Wow, I've never heard you say that
Because
before.
employees are critically important. They're not as crazy and unstable and as weird as people like us. You know, we have this big vision. Not everybody does. Alex Sharfin talks about in his book, The Entrepreneur Personality Type, he calls entrepreneurs evolutionary hunters. I don't love the language of it, but don't miss the point. The point is that there's a small percentage of the tribe that just can't not leave the safe little jungle hut tribe place, climb up the tallest mountain, even though there's jaguars that are going to eat them, just to look over the other side and be like, what's over there? And other people in camp think you are insane for doing this, right? But it's critically important that these people exist. Like entrepreneurs, I believe, are the most important type of person in the world because All innovation and opportunity, the jobs are created because of these people. Some of them get eaten by the jaguar. A whole bunch of them fail, but the ones that get the vision to expand the tribe, to expand the horizons, or they find something on a special tree over there that cures a sickness back at the tribe. There's so much value by the risk takers, the movement makers, the weirdos. And that's what you are, right? And I think it's good. It's not an easy life, but it's worth it, right? What do you think?
That was like very motivational, and all the entrepreneur wives went, yeah.
I mean,
No, I
all we're
agree.
really asking for is when we come back with some jaguar scratches on us and some thorny things in our legs, that you speak life, right? You speak life, because we're gonna discover the cure of something over there. We're gonna discover fire over there. We're gonna see another tribe that has fire. And we're like, what? You can freaking have fire, right? It's freaking cold. And it will be worth it. And it's not just the material results, though. It's the net impact on our community.
That's sexy as hell. I'm sorry if this is going to be edited. It's sexy as sexy. Okay. The hard part with the entrepreneurs are when they go to battle and they come home and they look like they didn't go to battle and they brought home nothing. That is the hard part. Like, babe, next time, next jaguar hunt, doing it. Totally doing it. But it is very sexy when an entrepreneur like has a win.
Oh, yeah.
And you include me in the win, even if I didn't do it. I'm like, I will take all of your clothes off right now. That is very sexy.
It's true, actually. That's what, yep. It's really true. Go get the result. Look, you have to implement. Look, here's my encouragement to the entrepreneur, since you talked to the entrepreneur wife. You do not have to be smarter. You don't need to read 13 more books. You do not need to follow gurus or influencers online, including me. You don't need any of that stuff. You need to go implement what you already know. Chances are, and this is true for me still right now, there's a whole bunch of stuff I already know to do, but I'm just not doing it. And we procrastinate by pretending to educate. We constantly keep learning because we're scared of the jaguars, and get on your horse and ride it, because the best part about business is you don't die. The jaguars is a metaphor, okay? You're not going to get eaten by a jaguar. Look, you could fail, but it doesn't matter. Fail faster. Don't make perfect decisions, make more decisions. Go faster, because in a way, your spouse, your family, your peers, your staff, if they just see movement, if they see iteration, if they see you getting kicked over and over and getting up and being relentless, first of all, you can't fail.
Yeah.
And second of all, it's going to give them some staying power to rally behind you. The problem is for people that perpetually sit in a state of learning, and they read more books that they never implement, and they talk about things that they're never going to pursue, and it's all fictitious, and everybody around you knows that it's fictitious. And so if that's you and you're complaining about your wife, you need to look in the mirror, because it's your fault.
I've actually never thought about it in that way. Anytime you have ever went out, I think that's probably why entrepreneurs aren't being risky, is because they're worried about looking like a failure to your wife. It actually has the reverse effect. You go out there and you crush it, and you come back and you fail. It's like, it's okay, babe, we got this. Like, I think we feel more aligned in that moment. I have never said, haha, knew it would happen. Like, I would never say that. Like, if anything, I'm like, let's get up. We keep on getting up, and we do hard things. And like, that's actually when we become most powerful, is when we are in it together, and you've, took an L, but we get up, but then the wins feel a lot bigger. Although you can't tell everybody, because
I love what Myron Golden says. He says, most people are comfortable living on Mount Just Enough. There's a little mountain, Mount Just Enough. And what people like us are interested in is Mount More Than Enough, okay? But in between these two things is the jaguar, sticks and stones, nightmare, scary, risky stuff. It's the hard things, right? Another way Myron explains it is between every anointing and every appointing is a season of disappointing, which is interesting because King David, slay like David, in the Bible was told he'd be a king when he was like 16 years old. He was anointed. That means he knew he had a call from God to do a thing, and that might be true for you. You're like, I'm a world changer. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be an author. I'm going to speak on stages. I'm going to give away millions of dollars. I'm going to build orphanages. I'm going to do, I'm going to do something in you. That means you've been anointed. But the thing is you don't get to live the reality of that anointing until you go through the season of disappointing. This is normal and natural. The friction and pushback is evidence that you're walking towards Mount More Than Enough. Problem is people think that when bad things happen, it's a signal that they're on the wrong path. No, it's a signal you're on the right path, right? It's evidence that your capacity is growing and that you're moving in the right direction. It might take longer than you want it to, little whiny baby. Okay, boo-hoo for you. But who cares? Because if this is your call, what does it matter how hard it is? We had T-shirts made for our kids that say it doesn't matter how hard it is, it only matters if it's worth it, because I literally believe that to be true. If I am dying on the ground and I have my use of my fingers, I'll still try to send out that last email to convert that one thing or help that one last family, and I'll click the button to do everything I can, trying to get there. And you can tell when people are living like that and they're really going for it and they're not self-loathing and it's inspirational. It doesn't matter if they're broke. Who cares, right? It matters that they're doing something. So instead of thinking, we got to do, and you got to get off Mount just enough.
Okay, I got a question for you because that was super powerful, but let's like mix it up a little bit.
It'd be too like serious preachy guy.
I want to know what your most embarrassing entrepreneurial moment is.
I already know what it is.
Okay.
I just don't want to say it. Can we have another question?
For real?
No, I was a window cleaner, and I was in Flint, Michigan. Ever been to Flint? Great tourist
Oh, you're going to
destination.
tell the really most embarrassing story. I
Yeah.
thought that was locked in a vault.
It is, but we're going to unlock the vault.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
So I'm at this house. It's about 90 degrees and humid in the middle of the summer, and I have to clean this guy's windows, but he's not there. The homeowner's running late. And even if he would have been there, I wouldn't have used his. Well, actually, no. Okay, I'm misremembering, and now I have it. This is what happened. The homeowner wasn't going to be there, but the house was supposed to be unlocked because this was a regular client. So I would have been there by myself and do the work. I had to poop so bad. I mean, bad. I mean, like dangerous. If I was on the expressway, people's lives are in danger. Sitting in the seat, different, swerving, sweating.
The sweats,
It's
yeah.
out of control. Pain, bad. And the whole way I'm driving to this job, I know no one's there. I'm going to make it. It's going to be okay. So imagine when you set an expectation for yourself, I have 46 seconds and then the problem's solved. I have a minute. I can do a minute and 13 seconds and then the problem's solved. It's fine. And so I'm 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. I pull in, house is freaking locked, right? I'm totally screwed. There is no reframe it in my brain. What happens now? So I crawl in the back of my wife's Pontiac Aztec, which what a weird car that was. And
I loved it.
I pooped in a bucket in our car. And it was horrifying and humiliating, embarrassing. And I put a lid on it. I sealed it. It's a special type of window cleaning bucket. I sealed it. And I didn't even tell my wife that this happened for over a year. When I got home, I put it like in the corner of the garage and I said, do not ever open that bucket. And she's like, why? I'm like, don't talk about the bucket. And then like a year later, I put it to the garbage. I didn't even want to put it to the garbage because someone would have been like, hey, that's a pretty sweet bucket. They would have taken it.
We called it the shame bucket. And then
Yeah.
finally he told me what
The
it was.
shame bucket.
The shame bucket.
Yeah.
It sat in there for a while.
Oh, did I love that bucket in the seconds of when it was happening, though. Thank God for the bucket.
It's all the frame you look through life, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So that's fun. So that was your most embarrassing entrepreneur moment.
It was one of them. I also got thrown out of a little old lady's house who started F-bombing me. That was interesting.
And one time you did do a complete webinar with nobody on it.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
didn't know till the end.
No,
one time,
I knew.
One time you also, I'm like,
I took
airing,
a flex.
I'm airing your dirty laundry now. I'm
Yeah.
like, and then one time you went live in the wrong group and
Yes.
for a paid challenge.
Yeah, people paid a bunch of money to go to a very specific training with me. And on day one, I went live on my personal Facebook page.
In the wrong spot.
Like, welcome to day one of this such and such, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going for like 20 minutes. Everybody's blowing me up, but I have do not disturb on all my devices because I'm doing the training, right? And I finally figure it out, and I'm like, oh my God. Well, then I go back into the group. These people paid money. They're like, bro, seriously? And it worked out, and actually we sold thousands of dollars of more tickets to the training because people are like, wait, no. What is that? How do I get it? So then they signed up and went in the thing. So it's actually kind of an accidental good marketing tactic.
I remember Brandon Vaughn called me and he was like, are you with Josh? And I'm like, no, like he shut it down. Like it becomes Fort Knox. When you're like doing a training, we like really secure the area. And so I was like, no, he's like, he was going live in the wrong place. I was like, oh crap. But I'm like 15, 20 minutes away from where you were. So I like hop in my car and I'm like driving, trying to blow you up.
There.
Yeah, I came in there
She
and was
physically
like,
came to my office. It was like, and I'm like, you're not even supposed to be here. Yeah.
like, what are you? I
The
like got
look
the
on my
look.
face too.
The
It's just
look.
like, sorry.
It was a bless your heart.
Sorry, bye.
moment.
Click. Everybody's like, what? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Embarrassment. I mean, it's just part of it. People aren't willing to be bad at stuff, so they can eventually be good at it.
I'm gonna actually ask you an uncomfortable question.
Oh gosh, I thought we already did that. Okay.
No. What's the coolest thing that you got to do? Now, you're not somebody who like is braggadocious. Like that's really not your nature. Like you're super giving and loving and like want everybody to win around you. Actually, you want more people to win around you, and you will literally lay your life out and like suffer for people. Like people really should know that. Like you literally are such a giver.
Okay.
No, I want
What-
people to really know that, because I don't think they truly know that you're like answering people's calls at like 2 a.m. They're Voxers. Like you're a giver. But what's the coolest thing that you've got to do because of entrepreneurship?
I think that's really hard for me to answer. I don't have a good answer.
Okay.
I don't, because I don't know why. I mean, I think I don't because I don't have like a super specific result for myself that matters to me.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
it's not like I really wanted that thing. I mean, I bought a Corvette last year, which was not that big of a deal, but it was pretty cool. The reason that was cool was because when we were poor and lived in the trailer park, my first kind of business mentor had a Corvette. And he let me drive it when I was like 19 years old. And I just thought it was so cool. And then when I started my business, I had a little red Chevy Cavalier, which was like a $2,000 car. And there's a ladder on the roof of it. And so when I bought the Corvette, we made a video. I put a ladder on the roof of the Corvette. You know, it's like from here to here, right? Mount just enough, mount more than enough. So it kind of like signifies something, I guess. But we're also giving the Corvette away as part of a giveaway at some point. So keep your eyes peeled. That's really why I bought it. So
So it's not
I
even
don't
about
know.
the Corvette.
Like I love getting wins for you. I love when we paid cash for a castle house on 25 acres in Michigan, because you basically were like, I don't think we can do that. And I'm like, hold my beer. I like achieving for you or for the team.
He does like to
I
impress me.
I want the people around me to make a fortune, right? I genuinely, I want Will to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I want, and we all have to work, and it has to be legit, and there's value and all that. But that gets me excited. So I don't know. Our kids being able to travel, live in 2 countries, being able to speak on 100 stages is cool. Not because I wanted to, because I didn't even want to do it, but the impact, the letters that we get, the gifts that we got. This $200 hoodie was sent to me by someone just saying, "Thank you, you changed my life." So there's all this benefit from it. But the reason I'm doing it is because my life goal, my purpose since I've been 12 years old, is to be radically generous and to give away $100 million to widows, orphans, and bug eaters. And I'll just tell people what bug eaters are. This is my purpose. So all the businesses, all the moves I make, everything I'm trying to do, even if it falls apart and I go bankrupt again, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to stop. I'll start again. I'm trying to give away $100 million to widows, orphans, and bug eaters. Period. End of story. And along the way, just lifting people up with me. But bug eaters are the weirdo Christians, the ones that are filled with the spirit and power of God, the ones that wander through a 7-Eleven or Walmart and lay hands on people and pray, and people start crying and they get saved and delivered. I'm going to finance and fund those people. We're not going to use our money to buy more fog machine juice for Joel Osteen's mega church, okay? We're going to fund
Sorry, Joel.
Larry, the weirdo who hears from the Lord, to wander through Walmart and set people free, to have drug addicts get delivered in a moment, which I've seen happen. That's what we want to do. That's why we do what we do. So, weird way to answer it, but that's what comes to mind.
No, I like it. So let's talk about the level up of the purse that changed my life and even made me win an award and speak on stage in front of 5,000 people.
Yes, please.
So I was going to start a company, and I was really having some imposter syndrome, and you helped me level up. You helped me have an identity shift, because I was like, I had a big case of I'm just me-itis. I shop at thrift stores. I'm a mom of 5. No one wants to listen to me and hear what I've got to say. And you were like, that's not true. And I was like developing the unicorn squad, but I was still running into these mental blocks. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah, very much.
And we were like walking through the mall, and I kind of walked. I've never had a real designer. I've had designer purses, but they always came from thrift stores or secondhand. And I've never had like an expensive purse.
Right.
And I was walking past the Coach store, which is an expensive purse. It's like $400 or $500, right? And but not like a Birkin. Everybody, I know how much a Birkin costs. But we were walking past it, and I was like, past it, and like looked at it, and you're like, let's go in there. And I was like, no, I'm not the type of person who goes in there. And you're like, yes, you are. And you said, this is an identity level up. We're going to go in there and we're going to buy a purse. And what happened?
Well, it was like a science experiment to me because it was interesting to watch your total physiology change because you walked 3 feet into a store. This is true. Like this, I see this with people I coach all the time too. I didn't tell her she had to buy something. I just said, yeah, let's go in there. Let's go. And she's like, no, I'm like, seriously? Because of a freaking overpriced purse? I mean, give me a break. So we go in there, and because I see her reaction do that, then I knew we are 100% buying a bunch of purses today now because we need to treat the disease of I'm not enough. Do I want to waste what do we spend? A couple grand on purses? Did I want to waste $2,000 on purses? No. Is it worth $2,000 in purses to fracture the false reality that she was living in about who she was, what she deserved? Yep, it was worth every penny. So we bought the purse, the backpack, another purse. We bought a bunch of. I got the personalized engraved trinket, and she's like hyperventilating the whole time.
I was, you guys. I was having I thought this is my once in a lifetime. I have to be very clear on this decision because I'm never getting another designer purse. So I was like, I don't know. Like I physically was like sweating and like breathing. And I remember the lady's name was Barbara. I would never forget her name. And she's like, wow, someone must really love you because I literally was sitting there having this. And he's like, we're getting both. And I was like, we can get both. Like the thoughts that were just creeping into my head. He's like, he looked me straight in the eyes and I will never forget this. He's like, we're not leaving here. I'm going to keep on buying purses until you break through this and level up. Like this is more important than the actual purse.
100%.
And it was such a powerful move. And that I got to tell that to my ladies. Like if you won't invest in yourself, like.
And it's not about a personal purse. It's not about material things. It's about things controlling you.
Yes, it had
that
a lot of
purse
control.
store actually had power over you. And basically, we walked in there, and I made that purse your bitch. That's what happened.
Stop it.
Because who cares about... By the way, I didn't know anything about designer purses, but I do know, upon further review, Coach purses are like the peasant designer purses. So we're going to have to do this all over again at some point with like the $25,000 purses. Because it's not about the purse. It's about your identity. And coaching 1,000 business owners, I know with certainty that that's actually the core problem happening. It's not teaching people what to do. It's getting them to do it. And the reason people don't do it is because of false beliefs and identity issues and childhood and weird stuff in our brain. That is what takes the chains off most of the time. And by the way, if you're offended that I said the word bitch, I'm good with it.
I am so offended right now. One thing that is the most powerful thing is that we've shared that story just with personal people about like this level up. Because for a while I wouldn't even show anybody I had the purse and I like didn't want to take it anywhere. And I was like nervous, but it had this little unicorn on it. And every time I looked at it, it reminded me of other entrepreneur wives who are in their bathroom crying, saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be an entrepreneur wife anymore, and needing help. And it encouraged me to level up for them. And now I've heard the stories of people that you've shared this story with, and they bought their wives' purses, and how the process of women going through it was the same as mine. I can't carry this purse. I'm not that type of person, and different things, and how we have to level ourselves up because it's going to level somebody else up. That's the truth.
And really, you getting that purse wasn't even about you. I mean, it was. For me, it was. But the real net impact of it was it gave you permission to go serve a whole bunch of other people, which gave them permission to go serve a whole bunch of other people. So these little things... ripple effect.
Although now
the
I
real
bought
winner was all the
even
husbands.
more expensive purse.
Which one?
I've bought a few now.
See, I don't
Now-
even know. She doesn't even tell me
now
now.
I'm a designer
She smashed
purse.
that false belief. We need to talk about that after this interview here. What are you doing?
Not recently. You see it. It's fine. You just didn't know how much it cost. It's so funny because you don't even know how much
It worked too well.
It worked too well.
Well,
But I did get to speak on stage, and I started my company, and I did all
Yep,
these things, and
you
then
did.
I felt like I was a person who could win an award, and then I did win an award, and it had a ripple effect. So
Well, and it's the least that could have happened to you after basically 15 years of being backstage suffering while my stupid butt ran around trying to do business stuff. And
that is true. You've probably spent a little bit more than $2,000 on courses and coaching and books. Just books alone. You spend more than that in books alone a year.
yeah, it's a lot.
But
you
that's
know
okay.
what?
But it's had great ROI. So that purse had ROI.
Yeah, skill sets and mindsets no one can take away from you, and they have the biggest ROI of anything else. So I think
And-
that's it. Are we
and
landing the
wait,
plane on this? Because you
yes.
keep doing the and wait part. We're just kind of
No, I just want to tell you that I felt you looked very sexy while I carried that purse, just so you know. Just wanted to let you know that.
yeah. It's a sexy love tip. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
That's it.
Yeah. See you later. Wish you the best.